I drove that 356 two or three times in 54, 55, and I was hoping I'd still be around long enough to see it at least rebuilt. And surely they could put a small track down on the Forks and run it through to the Exchange District and back again, because there's a lot of heritage streetcar places in Canada. There's 6 of them that my wife and I have visited, 5 of them, and they run streetcars 70 to 100 years old in the summertime, and it's a good tourist, it's a good tourist thing for them. And so far, I mean, they seem to have money for all kinds of things, for grants for this and grants for that, and what people don't realize, the city wouldn't be here as we know it today if the streetcars had never been here, because by 1912, the streetcars had built Winnipeg up to 150,000 people. They started out with 8,000 in 1882, and we were Canada's 3rd largest city. And now we're 8th or 9th. We're fighting with Hamilton to decide whether we're 8th or 9th. And, and then when the buses came in 1918, we had 170,000 people. And even when the streetcars left, we were getting close to 400,000 people in 55. So, they made the city. And, a lot of people if you go to the doors opening in the last weekend of May, the Free Press puts a bulletin in the paper about 2 days before that, and they have tours to go to different heritage sites, whether it's a church or a government building or bank or what it might be, and it was built in 1885 or 1890 or 1895, something like that, and people tour that. But what they don't mention or relate is that of those 74 heritage sites that were in the bulletin, the streetcars were there before 63 of them, and yet the streetcars aren't considered heritage material. And why not? They were built right here in Winnipeg by Winnipeg people, and they served Winnipeggers. And why do they have to take a back seat? Like, they built these high-rise buildings, and that's fine. And it amazes me how high they can build a building and not drop down into the way down. And that's because they have a very strong foundation. And I've never seen a building collapse because the foundation was too weak. Well, the streetcars were Winnipeg's transportation foundation. They never let Winnipeg down, except very occasionally in a blizzard or a electric blackout. Well, maybe, they had a day or so they had to quit because they couldn't run. But other than that, they served Winnipeg every day. And people would, if the streetcars hadn't been here, people would have, they'd gone off the train or from down east, they'd have had to lug their luggage, whatever it was, 2 or 3, their worldly possessions, lug them to wherever they had to register for who they were and how many they were in their family and what kind of trade their husband had and this kind of stuff. Then they had to lug all this luggage down to Portage and Main to the business section. They wanted to know where they could work, where they could eat, and where they could live. And the streetcars were here before that. All they had to do was walk across Main Street to the west side of Main Street, get on a streetcar, they took them down there. And sure, they still had to find a place to live and all, but at least they didn't have to drag all this stuff behind them. And so if you lived at, say, Arlington and Portage, or River and Main, or St. Mary's Road in Marion, or Provencher and Taché, or Higginson, Maine, or Sherbrooke and Ellis, and you worked downtown, you would have had to walk every day to downtown, and then walk home again, and in the wintertime you'd be walking home in the dark and in the snow. But the streetcars were here to give them those rides. And it was good for the streetcars, and it was good for the people that were in the buildings, because if the people had no way to get to the building other than walk, they wouldn't have gone. So all these lawyers and doctors and dentists and barbers and people that sold groceries and tools and clothing, they'd have had to close down because there wasn't any business, and the streetcars would have had to close down because there wasn't any place to take them. So they helped each other. But people don't recognize that. And